You better not mess with my gang, or you'll be messing with Oopie Goopy, General Munchkin Man, Lil Jim Bob, and worst of all, Larry.
So Squid Game Season 2 came out a couple weeks ago, and I think it's safe to say that it was extremely solid. And there was a lot that I noticed my first time watching, and there's so much I just want to yap about in regards to the season, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. So I watched Season 2 of Squid Game probably about 3 times now in the 2 weeks it's been out. I normally watch things on my own the first time around, but if I really like it, I'll keep rewatching it with other friends just because I love seeing their reactions and just laughing about the show with them and having conversations about theories or opinions that we had on the show. But overall, I thought Season 2 was super well made. I'm really happy how it played out. I felt like Season 1 was very much lightning in a bottle and was inescapable. Everywhere you went, you saw Squid Game. So I didn't think it was possible to match that amount of hype for a second season. And I was kind of right. The reception was still very positive, but I don't know, I feel like the impact just wasn't there compared to Season 1, but I'm okay with that personally. Like I kind of touched on earlier, last season was something new, nothing like I've ever seen before, so I didn't think you could match that novelty or tension or stakes a second time since you already know what the consequences are, but they actually managed to do it. This point is really noticeable with Red Light Green Light. It's the only repeat game, and I think it's a good thing, but like I said, they managed to make Red Light Green Light just as intense and engaging as in Season 1. Even the editing choices this season were fresh, and I feel like it elevated the scenes a lot. Like this shot of this side by side of Gihan and the doll looking at each other face to face and then just transitioning back into full screen, that was really cool. And that ending to the sequence where Gihan gets saved again in the last second from falling was so good, dude. And also that Fly Me to the Moon remix they used was so good. I really enjoyed it. It's stuck in my head as I'm recording this. This season followed many repeated beats as Season 1, which for any other show I feel like it would be seen as stale and repetitive, but for the Squid Game, I feel like it works. Because the Squid Games happen every year. It's a new set of 456 people every year. Every year there's gonna be people confused and freaking out and begging to leave because they got kidnapped and they don't know where they are. We're only seeing this again because Gihan infiltrates the games. He's played these games before, as he's calmly and gently reminded us. So in these new Season 2 characters, we see a lot of the same archetypes that we did in Season 1, but these new people actually bring a new spin on it, and they become characters that we get to know deeper and kind of relate to and root for. Not that the Season 1 characters weren't good, believe me, but last season introduced us to these characters and we got to see a little of their backstories and motivations, but once they return to the games, they hardly mention it and just become contestants in a game. Which, yeah, I get it, that's the point. But this season we didn't get that. They're actually stuck on the island the whole time, so we get their exposition on their backstories and actually see in real time them start to change and grow. And I think Season 2 took this direction intentionally. Season 1 was more focused on games, and Season 2 was more character-centric. The characters actually formed friendships with one another instead of just being seen as an asset for the next game. When a character died, I didn't just get sad because we lost that character, but I felt bad for the group since you see how much they mean to each other. I think everyone has a character this season they're rooting for to survive until the end and will absolutely riot if anything happens to them. But most importantly, I think it's really nice that everyone has a character that I think they can relate to. These aren't nameless contestants that are just a number to get killed off. These are characters, real people that we can see a little bit of ourselves in. Now to wrap up this video, I wanted to end by talking about the games this season. Like I said before, there's one repeat game, but we get 2 new ones. The Six-Legged Pentathlon and Mingle. And let me tell you, cinema, okay? Absolute cinema. These games were so hype, I don't even know where to start. The marathon one was such a cool concept of kind of like a lightning round of a handful of different popular kids games that might not have worked as a standalone death game, but they were still interesting enough and worth seeing that they made a montage of those games, and that montage sequence on its own was so cool. The scene in Gongi where the main player was just locked in and was just freaking getting all of the right movements done on the first try effortlessly. There was just so many times where I just sat back in my seat and I was like, all right. And some other stakes came up, like the front man messing up the spinning top and freaking everyone out. Oh yeah, that's another thing I forgot to mention. The front man is in this game, okay? He's there, he's in the front lines playing these games with everyone. It's just genius because they didn't go ahead with the twist villain this season, but instead he's right in front of our face the entire time. And now it's just dread the entire time because we're wondering, when is he gonna flip? Because it's inevitable, because there's no other reason why he'd be there. And then Mingle. Oh my god. Mingle. This is probably my favorite game they've done on this show because it was just so stressful and intense. There were many times where something went wrong and I shot up from my seat freaking out and then be relieved when it got resolved just like 10 seconds later. Remember when I said earlier that we all have a character we would riot for? Yeah, for me, that was the mother. When she was freaking out thinking that she was gonna die and then boom, she got scooped up. Literally, I shot back in my seat. I looked like this guy right here. But in the end, there is a lot of mixed reception for season 2. A lot of people were saying that this season went nowhere, which I don't know if we watched the same show. And some were saying this season felt like setup, which I do agree with. The finale was obvious setup for season 3, which I don't like that business model, but I can't really be mad because what we got was still really good. And I wasn't left frustrated that it ended, but I'm actually excited because what this did set up is really interesting. And it's coming out this year. We don't have to wait super long for the story to end. I'm just glad the season wasn't a letdown and it was a move in the right direction for the show. We got characters that are interesting and relatable. We got games that are stressful and leave an impact. I know it did. I know you sang that carousel song in your head a few times this week, okay? You're not fooling anyone. But that's all I can really ask for from this show. Season 3 looks like it'll be the end of this story for Squid Game. Whether they make spin-offs, I don't know, and I honestly don't think it'll be that good. But what I do know is good is this season of Squid Game, and I can't help but be obsessed with it.